Is the Nikon D5200 still worth it for nature photography in 2025? My friend, if you came up to me in the street tomorrow and asked me that very question, my answer to you would be... I'm still using the Nikon D5200 in 2025. In this video, I'm going to take you around the lake here. I've got various lenses with me for the D5200. I have my 70 to 300 millimeter lens. I'll do some bird photography. I've got the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. I'll maybe do some landscape, some flower photography, and I'll answer the question, is the Nikon D5200 still worth it in 2025? So the Nikon D5200 has a 24.1 megapixel sensor, and that's more than enough. The only time megapixels really matter is when you are cropping images or when you are printing out large prints. So if you were to crop an image from the D5200, the further you crop, the less detail that image would retain, because there's just not enough pixels there to keep it looking sharp. But 24 megapixels, we'll call it, is a common resolution for many DSLR sensors, and it's fine. I was just walking along and I noticed these flowers here. This is some kind of weed, but the flowers are really pretty, so I thought I'd have a snap shot of these with the 70 to 300. We'll see how it turns out. They were in shadow a second ago, but now they're not. But we'll see how it works out. So with the 70 to 300, I have to be quite a distance back. The minimum focusing distance is not very close. That's not too bad. I might move back a bit, take another one. Or four. See if one of those works out. Alright, there are some birds down in here. I just took my backpack off so I don't look too big and scary and scare them off. The D5200 has a maximum of 39 autofocus points. So if you're doing bird or wildlife photography and your subject enters the edges of the frame, you're probably going to lose focus on them. It does an okay job of keeping things in focus otherwise. I've managed to take some really good wildlife shots with this camera and lens combination. It also shoots stills at 5 frames per second, so at that speed you're going to miss some of the action, but if you're just a beginner wildlife photographer, that's not really going to matter to you in the beginning. So I'll just go down here and see if I can get any shots. There's a couple of ducks over there, but they are quite far away. I think they are the wandering whistling ducks I saw here the other day. So of course I'm wearing exactly the wrong colour for bird photography as well. Wearing black is never a good idea because you look just like a big black mass heading towards the bird. So no, all the ones that were here before swam away. A few ducks out there on the pipe. Now they're all sort of further out that way. But anyway, I'll put up a little montage of some of the good photos I've been able to take with this. Whew. Getting old, people. The ISO in the D5200 ranges between 100 and 6400, expandable to 25,600. Now remember, it is a crop sensor camera. 1.5x crop means less light will be captured, means noisier at higher ISOs. Throughout my history with the D5200, I've tried to keep my ISO at 3200 or less, but sometimes you just have to bump it up higher than that and just deal with the noise. But you do have very good noise reduction software these days, so it's not really an issue. It will shoot raw images at 6,000 by 4,000 pixels. So what RAW is, if you don't know, is a different file format. So you've got JPEG, PNG and others, but RAW is a different file format and it's a larger file. It will capture more information, which gives you more scope when you're editing your images. So if you're the type of person that's going to edit your images from your D5200 in editing software, you will have more scope. You'll be able to bring more detail back from the highlights and out of the shadows. You'll also be able to change your white balance after the fact. I always shoot RAW, and having it as an option in the D5200 is very handy. Let's go see what else we can find to photograph. Alright, I'm just set up here for a little landscape shot. I've got the 18 to 55mm on it. This will just show you the results that you can get with just the kit lens and the D5200. So it's not a bad scene. You've got the lilies in the foreground, this stick here creating a nice shadow on the water, and the nice cloud formations up above the houses there. So here we go. You know, I've got my ISO's at 100, my aperture's at f8. My shutter speed is currently at 1/500th of a second, and it's underexposing, so I'll just slow that down to 1/400th of a second, and I'm going to use the timer, which is set for 10 seconds at the moment, because I don't want to touch the camera and cause vibration. So we'll see how this turns out. Be nice if a bird would fly across just as the photo went, but didn't really happen. But as you can see, not too bad a result. If you're going to be shooting video with the D5200, you need to know it doesn't shoot 4K video. It does shoot full HD, and it also does 60 frames per second at 1080, so you can get your nice smooth slow motions, but you need to know it doesn't have 4K. And you also need to know that the autofocus system is really bad for video, so if you're filming video with it, use manual focus. The D5200 has a fully articulating screen. This is what really sold me on this camera. So the screen not only pulls out, but you can also angle it however you want. So you can have the camera up here and you can be taking shots. You can hold it down here and angle it up so you can still see what you're doing. And you can turn it fully around to be facing yourself if you wanted to film selfies, not with a 300mm lens obviously, or if you're videoing yourself, it's perfect for that. I'll go through a few pros and cons of the Nikon D5200. First up, for the price you're going to pay for it, you really do get excellent image quality out of this camera. Secondly, you are spoilt for choice when it comes to Nikon F-mount lenses. Nikon is not manufacturing them anymore, but there are so many lenses on the used market. If you can get your hands on a used lens before you buy it, that's always advantageous, but otherwise buy from a reputable retailer like Adorama or Amazon. The camera body itself is only going to cost you around about couple of $100 on the used market on places like Adorama or eBay or Facebook Marketplace if you buy from there. Always check the shutter count of any camera body that you buy. If you can't get your hands on the camera to take a photo and upload it to camerashuttercount.com to find out the actual shutter count, you're just going to have to believe that the seller is giving you the correct shutter count. If they don't give you a shutter count, don't buy the camera. The cons: no 4K video, slow autofocus, it struggles in low light situations, and I'm sorry, but it has no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Is the Nikon D5200 still worth it for nature photography in 2025? My friend, if you came up to me in the street tomorrow and asked me that very question, my answer to you would be yes. It's a great camera. I used it yesterday, took some great photos, as you've seen. I used it today and took some great photos. I think I'll have to get them back to the computer to find out, but it takes a great photo. It was an amazing camera to get started on. I used this from beginner well into intermediate level. And I did have to upgrade as my skills advanced to the Sony a6400, which I also love, but I still go back to the D5200 every now and then for a challenge. You know, you have to work harder to get a decent photo out of this camera. But if you're a beginner or intermediate photographer, for the price you're going to pay for this, it's a top choice. If you want to see more photos I've taken with this camera, watch my top 10 Nikon D5200 photos video. In that I take you through the top 10 photos I've taken with this camera and explain all my settings for each. Until next time, I'm Barry from Photographer's Freedom. Get out there, take some wicked shots. I'll see you soon.